very much for taking the big round of applause.
My last speech was when somebody called me uncle. How devastated I was, how shocked. And I busted out to that sales girl when somebody called me uncle for the first time. I couldn't subdue my anger. Lifted out there was. I gave her left and right. Burn me, But today my speech is not about somebody calling me uncle. Today my speech is about self-realization. What really transpired after that? The after story of my last speech. I went back home, I thought about it long and hard. A lot of thought process has gone into it. I sat in a very quiet, isolated place, trying to think, what has really happened? Why would some fine-looking girl would call me uncle? Then suddenly I started breaking my fingers in counting. 1, 2, 3, 4. 10 long years have gone since my college. I'm no more a bubbly guy or just out of college. 10 long years. Can you imagine 10 long years? For somebody in 19 years or late teen, I'm a very natural person to be called uncle. After that realization, TM Sasank just mentioned the realization about the perceived reality and the actual. I perceived myself to be very young up to that moment. But the reality was something different. There was a mismatch of it. I thought long and hard. Then some kind of self-realization is dawned in. I should have vented out my anger to her. After that, I regretted, and I regretted more. Why did I create a scene over there? There were lots of people also looking at it. Now I'm embarrassed. Now I've started recounting the many years that has gone by since my college time. I've seen my neighbor's kid, who was pretty small. Now the person is quite tall, almost my height. Doesn't that mean that the time has really lapsed? A lot of time has gone into it. I see my kid, who was a very small infant, who was so small that my 2 arms were like very small for him, very big for him. Now I cannot hold him in my arms. He plays soccer and he chips past the ball all around me. I get amazed every now and then. Sometimes I just get up in the morning and see him, and I suddenly realize, man, this guy has grown quite tall. This realization part is getting into the process now. I was in a lacuna, kind of confined to myself. I was hanging around with the same kind of people, with the same age thing. Probably they were also thinking in the same way. But when I get a crude shock, everything changed around me. I became more mature now. With that introspection, I understand that if somebody calls me uncle these days, I take it in a different perspective. I no more vent out my anger or show my frustration. I've mentioned that had it been the guy, had it been a sales boy instead of a girl, I would have probably punched that person. But not anymore. That realization has made me more mature. I understand that I cannot act so irresponsibly now. I cannot also confine myself in that kind of a situation where I see myself as young and bubbly every time. Things has to change now. My whole life has just come as a visual right in front of my eyes. So all the years that I've spent in college, all the 7-8 years that I've spent in college, schools, and started counting all those years. Now anybody calls me uncle, I'm very cool. Super cool. I think like somebody out of respect is calling me uncle. Everything, all the myths that was surrounding is all shattered. The kind of shell that I created for myself is all broken. I'm no more into that perceived reality, perceived by myself, which is wrong. I give a very good example of Mel Gibson movie. He was confined in an isolated chamber for years. When he came out, everything around him changed. A good decade or so passed by, but he didn't realize that part. When he went out of the shell, he thought everything is just the same as he left. He also got a very crude shock like me. But his case was a little different because he was just isolated there. He was just sleeping in a chamber or something. In my case, I was engaged every day, but yet the self-realization part was not there. So I request everybody that age is a very natural thing that happens. You become brother, uncle, grandfather, and if you live a little longer, great-grandfather. It's so natural. Take it very natural. Just break open that shell that confines you. Over to you, Krishna.